your timer.
Good evening and welcome to the January 28th, 2025 meeting of the City of Westminster Planning Commission. Anyone who would like to speak who have not already signed up, please do so at the table in the back of the room. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Excuse me. Bless you. Commissioner Kinnear.
Here.
Commissioner Zhang.
Here.
Commissioner Mayo.
Here.
Chair Carpenter.
Here.
Commissioner Calling. Here. Commissioner Dunn.
Here.
Commissioner Tomachek.
Here.
Commissioner Boschert.
Excused. Okay, a quorum is present and the first alternate will be voting. The meeting first, the minutes from the January 14th, 2025 meeting will be considered at our next meeting on February 11th, 2025. So we have one item on the agenda tonight. That's item 3A, public hearing and consideration of a preliminary development plan amendment for the North Huron Plan Unit development. I hereby open the public hearing for item 3A. And Mr. Causa, would you please begin your presentation?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just a second here, I'll make sure we're presenting. Jen, are you seeing it?
No, not yet.
Hey, Dave, do we need to approve minutes from last meeting?
They didn't send them out.
What's that?
They didn't send them out.
I just said we'll take care of it next week.
I know, I heard.
Unplug
I
one
didn't
more
know,
time. I
they didn't send them out
unplug
today.
one more
I
time.
was gonna say, I didn't see, I looked for them. I was paying attention.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jacob Causa. I'm a Principal Planner with the City's Planning Division. As a part of bringing this project before you, a staff agenda memo has been created and tonight's public hearing has been properly noticed. The agenda memo, its associated attachments, tonight's PowerPoint presentation, the public notices published on the Westminster window, the mail notices, and the posted notices are hereby entered into the public record at this time. The notices of the public hearing were mailed to 357 property owners' addresses and 2 HOAs within 1,000 feet of the parcel under consideration tonight. The city has also posted the hearing date and time on its website. Here's a map of the North Huron PUD property. The property is located at the southeast corner of West 142nd Avenue and Huron Street. The PDP aligns the allowed uses with the current 2040 comprehensive plan designations. No access points are being changed with this amendment. Section 11.5.14 of the Westminster Municipal Code contains 10 criteria that are to be considered when reviewing rezonings and preliminary development plans. Staff finds that the preliminary development plan amendment generally meet these criteria as outlined in the agenda memo. Several examples of these criteria are that the PDP is compatible and harmonious with existing public and private development in the surrounding area. Streets, driveways, access points, and turning movements are designed in a safe and convenient manner, and that the PDP will not preclude future public land dedications. For those selected example criteria, staff finds that the PDP is compatible with existing developments in the surrounding area, that the access points are designed in a safe and convenient manner, and that the PDP will not preclude future land dedications. Staff recommends that you hold a public hearing and recommend Staff recommends that you hold a public hearing and recommend that City Council approve the PDP amendment. Staff finds that a recommendation of approval of the applications would meet the city's strategic plan priority of economic vitality by facilitating the development of additional employment land within the city. The applicant is with us tonight and has a presentation to share with you as well. Thank you for your attention. There are several staff members with us this evening, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you, Ms. Akaza. Will the applicant please make their presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Craig Karn. I'm Director of Design with THK Associates, and we're located in Greenwood Village, Colorado. Fred Cook is here. He represents the Orchard Lakes Ownership Group, and I'm sure he'll want to speak to you briefly. I'm going to keep this as concise as possible. I think that Jacob has done a good presentation. You'll see that Martha's very much the same, so I'll try to get through it pretty briefly. I do want to, before I go through the presentation, I want to speak about and thank Richard Martin. He was my staff landscape architect who has done all the heavy lifting to get us here to tonight. He had to take a leave of absence, or he chose to do so to deal with a family emergency a little more than a week ago. His brother's home and business were struck by a series of tornadoes that went through Mississippi over the Christmas holidays. And he had the opportunity and the ability to go help out. So he was done. So he'd be doing this presentation tonight if he was here. I would like to think he was watching remotely, but I'm not sure they still have power back yet. As of a week ago, they still didn't have any power. But at any rate, let me move through this presentation. Again, I appreciate you all being here tonight. You all saw the vicinity map that Jacob shared, and so I'm pretty sure you know where we're located at, up there between Huron and I-25, just south of 145th and the hospital. There's a great aerial context map. Again, the land use map, this is, you can see the enlargement. This is an excerpt from your, I would call it your new, but your current comprehensive plan. We actually started this process before that plan was adopted, and we're glad to be here tonight to bring this, the PDP in compliance, really targeted toward employment uses and to serve the, the needs of the medical community with the hospital. I'm sure Fred can speak to you briefly about that. Existing land use summaries, you all probably had a chance to read that. If you have any questions about it, we can come back and look at it in detail. And then the proposed land uses, generally very similar, but a lot of the changes were, again, to make the nomenclature and the intended uses that we have proposed to be in alignment with the comprehensive plan. Again, these are actual excerpts from that plan, and we can come speak to any of them if you'd like, but and we'd love to have any questions about it. Again, you've seen this site plan again, and it has the text that demonstrates those uses on the specific parcels. So any questions you have in that regard would be great. And so with that, we would open it. I don't know if there's any public comment here tonight, but we're here to answer any questions. Fred, would you like to speak at all briefly?
I'd like to.
All right, thank you.
My name is Fred Cook. I'm with the ownership group of Orchard Lakes LLC, and I'd just like to make a quick statement. First of all, thank all the commissioners for considering our proposal. We have got a number of users right now that are hospital and medically related that we think are going to be a great addition to the community, and we appreciate you taking a look at this and working with us to come up with the uses now that we've brought into compliance with the overall comp plan. And that being said, thank you very much for taking the time to review this. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. But other than that, that's my statement.
Great, thank you. So before we open the public testimony, do the commissioners have any questions for either staff or the applicant team? Commissioner Tomachek.
This question is as much for staff as it is for the developers, because I'm not sure I'm hitting the land use regulation right. But first question, I guess, is the oil and gas well that's at the corner of West 142nd Avenue and Orchard Parkway. Is that an operational well or a dead well?
Yes, Commissioner Tomachek. That well is actually no longer in existence, so that's actually an old footnote from previous plans when it was active. It was decommissioned, I believe, in 2019 or 2018, okay. And the state has already conducted their cleanup procedures on it as well. So this property is no longer subject to any of the oil and gas additional requirements.
Okay, then that answers the rest of my questions. Thanks.
Commissioner Kinnear? Also for Jacob.
I just want to make sure I understand, we're changing some uses to others to be compatible with the current comprehensive plan. Is that generally?
That is generally correct. So their previous amendment, so this would be an amendment to the preliminary development plan. Their previous amendment was had land uses that were compatible with the 2013 comprehensive plan, and that would have been office R&D high was the previous category.
Yeah, so commercial, hospital, medical was under the old plan, but that would be wrapped into what we now call commercial employment office and institutional.
Correct. Yes.
That would allow for, like, it sounds like medical offices or something are contemplated that would be covered under that designation.
Correct. The east side of the project will be employment, or is in the comp plan. It's currently employment, office, institutional, campus, and that does allow a broad use of medical facilities on the property.
Great, thanks.
Commissioner Colling?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jacob, I'm sorry. Mr. Kaza, please.
That's okay. I'll stand up here.
Okay. I noticed that there was a neighborhood meeting that was conducted in your notes, and then there's a sentence that says questions were raised about the amount of development in Westminster, impacts to open space, traffic, and access. Can you elaborate on that in general? That's very vague. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. So yes, at neighborhood meetings, we frequently get a wide reaction to development plans. One of the ones we hear most commonly is too much development, just on a broad category. Sometimes when we hear that, we're not sure exactly how to apply that to a specific development proposal, but that's one that we hear frequently, and that's one that we heard here. Impacts to open space was a little confusing. There's not a designated open space here. There's a flood corridor and then a detention pond directly adjacent. So we weren't entirely sure what they meant there as well. And then I believe the last one was access.
Yeah, there was traffic and access.
Yeah, and that's probably the other one we hear most frequently besides the development in general is most people construe, which is factual, with any new development, there will be additional traffic added to it. So it is very common that we hear that one. This one in particular, they were concerned that this would bring additional traffic to the area. We believe that the streets have already been designed to handle and accommodate that traffic. Huron is a three through lane or six lane road with 3 through lanes along it. And then 144th and 136, being interchanges for I-25. And then there's no new access points, and that's the reason why I cited that in my narrative, or in my presentation to you, is this is not granting any new access points for them. So there are still a lot of restricted access onto Huron, onto Orchard Parkway, and then there is no access from this development onto I-25. So no access points are changing with this amendment.
Okay, so it's safe to say that their comments weren't so much about this particular change, this PDV change, but more associated with just development in general.
Correct, and that's what we see very frequently at neighborhood meetings is comments just broadly across the city or across the metro.
And were these comments from businesses or residential?
Those comments were from residents.
Okay, That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none at this time, I'm going to open the public testimony. Madam Secretary, have there been any voicemails or emails received?
No voicemails, no emails received. I don't have anyone on the sign-up sheet, so we can make one last call for speaker.
Yep. Okay, any takers? Anyone who would like to testify, you can come on down. All right, seeing none, I will close the public testimony. Do we have any further discussion or do we have a motion?
I would move that we approve I should use the language, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Kamir.
I move that the Planning Commission recommend City Council approve the 13th Preliminary Development Plan Amendment for North Huron Planned Unit Development. This recommendation is based on a finding that the Preliminary Development Plan is supported by the criteria set forth in Section 11-5-14 of the Westminster Municipal Code.
Second that?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the item before us. There any further discussion from the commission? Seeing none, I will call the question and ask for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kinnear,
Yay.
Commissioner Zhang,
Yay.
Commissioner Mayo,
Yay.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Yay.
Commissioner Colling,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tomacek.
Yes.
The motion passes on a 7-0 vote. Thank you very much for your presentation and good luck with your project. Is there any discussion of old business or miscellaneous business? Our next meeting will be on February 11th. All right. Well, seeing no other business, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:15 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
15 minutes.
Awesome.